Hello viewers, welcome to Code for Any. Today we need to see this here, the develop here, the personal document list API we need to develop here. First of all, we need to see this here UI and then after need to create here the API. First of all, now need to click on the profiles image and now select here the setting screens and select here the personal documents. Look like this here the UI we need to set here, but we need this here the list, this personal document list. If you user uploaded then to displaying here the uploaded documents, otherwise missing them to missing documents, need to upload documents, need to say this here, or need to develop here the personal documents API. Now, first of all, we need to write down here the post methods app dot post and to write down here the API slash API slash need to give this here the name personal document list, and we need to get here the parameters as a callback. First one is the request object and second one is the response objects callbacks. We need to get here the function operators now need to put here. And first of all, now need to print here the helper.dlogs and to print here the request body like here's, and also need to save this here the request body as a request object inside like here's. Now first of all need to check this here that this user are valid or not, so need to check. That's why I need to call this here the check access tokens, need to check here and to pass this here the header objects. Now need to write down here check access tokens and now need to pass here the request dot headers, need to pass here, and also need to give this here the response. If you not valid then to return this response directly, that's why to give this here the response objects. And also if valid then to get this here the user data we need to return here user objects like this, need to write down here and to call this here the function callback like this, we need to write down here. Then after we need to write down here the query. We need here first of all now need to write down here the DB query structures DB dot query and pass this here the query, and now need to pass here the parameters. Then after we need to get here the errors or response callbacks. We need to result callback we need to get here. Now need to function operators, and now ifs need to get here the errors, then to write down here the helper HTMLs throw HTML errors and to give this here the response and to returns inside the response objects and return these functions. If not gets any errors, we need to write down here if gets here the results dot length more than 0, else parts we need to write down here response dot json, and now need to return here the status is equal to, need to set here colon is equal to set here the double quotes inside the 0, and also need to write down here the message please select any one zone and anyone providing service type. Like this we need to return here the response if you not gets any results, that's why I need to return here like this message, and now need to save here. Now opens here the MySQL's PHP my admins, now need to open here, and now need to write down here the query, and first of all now to select here the this database and to select this here the zone tables zone list and go inside the SQLs. Now we need to write down here the query. First of all need this here the user tables because need to user related data we need to get, now need to pass here user detail underscore details. And now need to give this here the alias ud, and now need to call this here the inner joins, and we need to write needs here the zone list tables. As need to give this here the alias zl, and on methods need to fire here, need to write down here zl dot zone id equal to ud dot zone id, and conditions need to write down here zl dot status is equal to 1 or check here means active zones. And also need to check this here the ud dot user id. We need to optimize this query and to get only this data records. Now need to give this here statically. Now find number users need to set, but query callings times need this here the specific id need to give this years like years. And then after another inner joins need to set here. Now need to get here the zone wise documents, need to personal document list need to needs. That's why I need to given this here the inner join, and to write down here the zone document table. As we need to give this here zld, and on methods need to write down here. Now zld dot zone id is equal to zl dot zone id. Like we need to write down here, and also need to check here and find insert, because we need to give this here the needs here the service selected this zones inside need to providing here the which service. That's why need to need this here the user selected which service are the provides. Need to use this here the user detail tables inside the selected service providers. Need to use this here. Now need to find inside, so need to write down here find in set, and inside now need to give this here the column names z ld dots need to need this here the service id, and now need to pass this here ud dot need to set here selected service id more than 0, then to inner joins calls. And also need to check this here the zld dots. We need to set this here the status. We need to check here if active is equal to 1, and to inner joins like this. We need to call this here. And now need to also need to showing here some data. Need to write down here zl dot name for the displaying here the zone name. Now need to zl dot zone id to showing here the zone id. Then after so need to showing here the zl document zone documents id need to show here zone document doc id like here set here. Then after need to show here the service underscore id like here. Then after zl dot need to give this here the personal documents list comma separate need to get here like this. We need to get here, and also need to write down here the another inner join, and to get this here service detail, and to give this here zd sd not zd on need to write down here sd dot service underscore id is equal to, now need to give this here zl zld dot service id like this sets, and also and conditions sd dot status is equal to 1. Like this need to write down here the inner joins and to fix this here errors. like this. You need to set. Now need to get here the documents. You need to document list that to another inner joins. You need to write down here, and now need to give this here the document as D and 1. Need to write down here find inside. Now need to pass this here D dot documents ID, and now need to write down here ZL D dot personal document list and more than 0, and conditions need to write down here the D dot status is equal to need to write down here the ones, and now need to give this here the some related information. Now need to give this here the document name need is showing inside the API sites app sites. That's why I need to give this here the document names, and also need to set here the document types, which type personal documents, card documents. D type means document, and another inner joins we need to write down here the lab joins, because sometimes we need to user upload and not upload, that's need to give this here the lab joins, and to connect with the driver uploaded document tables need to join here. So now need to write down here the lab join. Now need to write down here the driver document tables. So need to use this here and to give this here the alias dd, and on methods need to call this here dd dot documents id underscore id is equal to d underscore document id doc id like years, and need to write down here the end conditions. Now dd dot user id is equal to ud dot user id. Specific this user data need to fetch, that's one to like these conditions inside the lab joins, and also need to check this here the status not deleted, so need to set here to write down here the ed dot status not equal to once means not deleted, like this we need to discuss here the maintenance for these tables, and to write down here, and also need to here the documents related tables need to showing here the some data. First of all need to show this here the documents image need to dd dot need to call this here documents image, then after document dd dot expiry date, then after need to showing here the dd status dot status, and also need to show this here the upload dates need to need this here dd dot created dates, like this need to need this here the columns and to set this here, and also need to need this here the documents id need to needs sometimes maybe delete these documents to need this here uploaded document id dd dot driver documents id, like this we need to all these here the columns, and this query are the done. Now need to check gets any errors or not, so need to check here. Now need to click on go, and to get here the app dot service details tables are not available. Now need to cross verify here. Now copy this name, and now need to this here typo here. That's why like this errors. Now need to again need to go here, and now need to ZL dot names fields is the not now maybe possible here the name check here dot zone names. That's why not working here. Now click on against go, and now it's working, and to get this here the list give this here the zone id zone names zones documents id service id service, and also maybe you need to open here this query service name write down here sd dot service name print here. Now need to click on here, these drivers are the showing here the documents names as a id, ID cards, backsides need to show, and types means the ones means the personal document, two means the driver document, card documents. And here the documents not uploaded to get this here the nulls if users are the uploaded inside these tables for this data, and to showing like this here the inside the not nulls and to displaying here the value. Now use this query and to put inside our Node.js API inside need to put this query. Now need to copy here this query, and now need to go here and to paste this here like here. And now need to change this here the user ID need to set here the question mark like this here the setting here. Now need to fix here the format. Also need to find out here the another inner joins like now also need to another inner and also here the joins and here give this here users object dot user id need to pass one pair, and now need to return this here the results, and need to give this here the status as a success set here one and set here give this here the results like this. You need to save and to create here the personal document list API. If you have any question, so please write down the comment sections. I will help you and sort out your issue. Everyone have a nice day. Goodbye and take care. And tomorrow need to call this here the API inside the Flutter apps, and then after need to call this here the Shift UI apps inside need to call this here the personal document list API need to call, and also need to upload this here the documents